Hey everyone, so you want to learn how to MIG weld? We're going to cut through all the confusing stuff and boil it down to just 3 core things you need to know to lay down a really solid weld. Let's jump right in.
If you've ever looked at a MIG welder and felt a little lost with all the knobs and that technical terms, yeah, you're definitely not alone. It can look super complex, but I promise you, it doesn't have to be.
Because here's the secret, especially when you're just starting out. A great weld isn't really about tweaking the machine to perfection. Nope. It's about mastering just 3 physical techniques. If you can get these right, you are basically 90% of the way there.
So, here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the secret to getting your setup right. Then, we'll break down each of our 3 pillars. First up is distance, then we'll tackle angle, and finally, movement. And to finish, we'll show you how to use all this to look at your own welds and know exactly what to fix.
Okay, let's get into it. Before we even touch those 3 pillars of technique, we gotta make sure our setup isn't fighting us from the start. Think of it like clearing the runway before takeoff.
So, the first 3 things here, your gas, your ground clamp, and having clean metal, those are absolutely non-negotiable. But look at that last point about settings. This right here is the secret. For now, just use the chart that's printed right inside your welder. Don't overthink it. Why? Because it's your technique, what you do with your hands. That's going to make or break these first welds. So let's just set it, forget it, and focus on what really counts.
And that leads us perfectly into our first, and you could argue, most important pillar, the distance you're holding that torch from the workpiece. With this one, consistency is everything.
Now, the technical term for this is stick out. It's literally just how far that little wire is sticking out from the copper tip inside the nozzle. The sweet spot you're looking for is a consistent 3/8 to a 1/2 inch. That's the magic number.
So, why does this matter so much? Well, if you're too far away, your arc gets all unstable and the shielding gas that protects the weld just kind of blows away. This lets air in and creates porosity, basically tiny bubbles that turn your strong weld into a weak, spongy mess. And if you get too close, you risk the wire burning back and welding itself right to your tip. And trust me, that's a real pain to fix.
So, how do you practice this? It's so simple, but this is maybe the biggest takeaway from this whole explainer. Practice without welding. Seriously. Get comfortable, brace yourself, and just trace the path of the weld, focusing only on keeping that distance perfect. Do it over and over. You want to build that muscle memory before you even introduce heat and wire.
All right, on to pillar number 2, angle. Once you can hold a steady distance, the next piece of the puzzle is controlling your torch angle. To make it easy, we're going to break this down into 2 simple parts, your work angle and your travel angle. Your work angle is just your side-to-side tilt. So if you're joining 2 flat plates together in a butt joint, you'll be straight up and down, a 90-degree angle. Easy. But if you're doing a T-joint, you want to split the difference, right? So you come in at a 45-degree angle, aiming the arc right into the root of that joint. Then you've got the travel angle. This is your front-to-back tilt. You can either push the weld pedal forward or you can drag it from behind. Honestly, when you're starting out, it does not matter which one you choose. Just pick what feels right and, you guessed it, be consistent. So what happens if your angles are all over the place? Well, the arc isn't going where it's supposed to. The result is a ton of spatter, those little metal balls that stick to everything, and a weld that just isn't fused properly. So again, what do? We make those dry runs, focusing on keeping both angles steady the whole way. All right, you've nailed distance, you've got your angle locked in. Now we're at our 3rd and final pillar, movement. This one is all about speed and rhythm. Your travel speed has a massive impact on the weld. If you move too fast, you'll lay down this narrow, ropey-looking bead that basically just sits on top of the metal. It doesn't get enough heat in, so it's super weak. Now, if you go too slow, you're just dumping in way too much heat. The bead gets wide and flat, and you've got a really good chance of just burning a hole right through your metal. And that brings us to manipulation. Look, a simple straight line, what we call a stringer bead, is often all you need. But sometimes you'll want to do a little side-to-side weave motion. And here is the pro tip for that. Pause for just a split second on the edges of the weld, then move quickly across the middle. It's a rhythm. Pause, zip, pause, zip. Just keep it small and consistent. So there they are. Distance, angle, and movement. Our 3 pillars. Now let's put it all together. Because the real skill here is being able to finish a weld, lift up your helmet, and know exactly what's wrong and which of these 3 pillars you need to work on.
This chart right here is your new best friend. Seriously, look at your weld. Does it look kind of spongy, full of little pinholes? That's porosity, and it's a pillar 1 problem. Your distance was too long. Is there spatter all over the place? Check pillar 2. Your angle was probably off. Is the bead really skinny or is it super wide and flat? That's a dead giveaway. You need to adjust pillar 3, your travel speed. It's that simple. So here's your action plan. Step 1, set your machine using the chart and then just leave it alone. Step 2, do those dry runs. Practice distance, angle, and movement without any electricity. Step 3, use scrap metal. Don't practice on your final project. And step 4, this is so important. Tackle one pillar at a time. Get your distance right before you even worry about angle. You'll improve so much faster that way.
And that's really it. That's how you break it all down. It's not about some magic setting on the machine. It's about mastering these 3 simple physical skills. So, the only question left is, which one are you going to head out to the garage and practice first?